We have a new patch for Overwatch 2's beta, and it brings some things we expected, but overall it looks to be a pretty good direction. So we're going to start off with Doomfist, who definitely needed some buffs, shouldn't even have gotten his nerfs coming into this second round beta, in my opinion. But the first thing we're going to see is his power block. Instead of having to block 100 damage, he now only has to block 90 to get the empowered punch. That's not such a big deal, in my opinion. That's not a huge breakpoint movement. This is a little more important. Movement speed penalty when blocking reduced from 50% to 35%, so he'll have a little bit more mobility. He still can't use his abilities while power blocking, but he'll have a little bit more ability to scoot around, to maybe scoot into incoming damage to get that empowered punch with that increased movement there. Only a 35% reduction now. And then his rocket punch will now do damage to all enemies knocked back instead of only the first target impacted. So you can go there, you can hit your rocket punch, isn't that great? And you can punch an enemy into another enemy and hurt the second enemy, that sort of thing. You don't always have to do empowered shenanigans to pull that stuff off anymore. Junker Queen, happy to see some nerfs here, and I think they're going to feel good for people playing against her. I'm not actually sure that they're all necessary. I think we're going to hit a situation where people don't like it's not fun to play into her with her in her old form, but now she might not be good enough. So we see radius reduced from 20 to 15 meters on commanding shout. So this is going to do a better job of containing her commanding shout to people in her group and do less of, oh, let me get the Tracer on my team over here, the Genji on my team over here, give them temporary health. Temporary health Tracer is a bit of a nightmare. Okay, then we've got allied health bonus now decreases over its duration, and that's nice. It's nice to see that they've got the extra health, and then like a Lucio beat, that health will decrease over time, but partially to make up for that, they've made the duration go up from 4 to 5 seconds. So it'll last a little bit longer, but it'll be decaying during that longer, so that sort of works out as similar, maybe. Overall, I think this is a good change. I think it's a lot less frustrating. It was certainly annoying to be fighting fighting the enemy group, and then they've all got green health that you don't get any ult charge for hurting, that isn't going to last forever, that is sort of just like, why am I even bothering to attack this? You were right to attack it, but it left you in a situation where it just felt bad to play into, and hopefully this looks a little bit better. Then we have Rampage, radius reduced from 6 to 5 meters, and again, that strikes me as this is going to feel better because it's going to better line up with what it looks like she should hit when she does it, but I think we might be pulling too much power out of her kit. Overall, though, Rampage was a good ult, so probably works out okay. Might have been better to go the 5.5 meter range. That might have worked out a little bit better because we're talking radius here. So, cut half a meter at each side, meter in total off of it. That probably would have worked a little bit better, but we will see. Orisa, we're still in tank world. Now Fortified disables critical damage, so that's just like in the later form of Overwatch 1, but we know Overwatch 1 and Overwatch 2 split in their development a while ago, and that was before the Fortified taking away crit damage was in there. Now, unsurprisingly, they've brought it over. That'll help her a little bit. She deserves it. She also gets movement speed increase. So we've increased tank movement speed a little more. Doomfist had his penalty reduced while blocking. Orisa has a bigger bonus, going from 40 to 50% increase while using Javelin Spin. That's okay. I still think she's in a place where, what is the point of Orisa? Are you using her in Brawl v Brawl situations? Well, you probably want, Junker Queen is probably a better brawler. Reinhardt is probably a more flexible brawler. What are you really trying to use Orisa for? This hurts a little bit. This helps her. Sure, these are buffs, but I don't really think they're going to be, yes, now Orisa's the play instead of Junker Queen or Ryan. Now we move into DPS, and unsurprisingly, Sojourn gets a nerf. Her primary fire is going to have its rate reduced, so she's 14 per second instead of 15, so a little bit reduced there. And then her projectile fire, instead of jumping back and forth between this 0.05 and this 0.1 like they've been doing with betas and alphas and things like that, they're deciding, no, it's going to start at 0 and it's going to ramp up to 0.1. So if you fully charge up to 100 energy for your secondary fire, you'll have the same size railgun shot that you have right now. But if you charge it up less, if you charge it up to 80 or someone like that, because you go, I do regular damage, and then want to finish you off with a railgun, that sort of thing, it'll have a smaller radius. I would have expected them maybe to just go like, okay, the radius is 0.8 permanently, but they're doing the scaling up thing, and that seems pretty reasonable to me. So these look like solid enough nerfs for her. We'll see what happens in the actual play. Symmetra, these are all the things we expected were going to happen. They didn't go with the 4th potential buff here, but they did go with the 3. The charge time reduced from 1.2 to 1 second on her max charge time for the orbs, the alternate fire. The projectile radius increased a little bit from 0.4 to 0.5 meters, and the cooldown on her teleporter is down from 16 to 12 seconds. So she's getting some of her power back. It might not be exactly how sim players want her to get her power back, but she is getting some of her power back on some of those nerfs that she was supposed to get in exchange for the faster orbs. She's kept the faster orbs. She's now lost some of those buffs. Her TP, or some of those nerfs that were supposed to compensate for that, so she should be in better shape, and her TP is quite fast, even if it's still the new temporary TP, not the old Overwatch 1 permanent TP. And then lastly, we have Zen with the health reduction, so he is down to 200 total HP again from that 225 combined total HP plus shields, which that had to happen. He's supposed to be a glass cannon. Discord has so much value. That had to happen. So overall, I look at this. This looks like a pretty good patch to me. I do worry that we've over-tinkered with Junker Queen just a little bit. Maybe, maybe we keep this, but we don't make the rampage change, or maybe we keep these later 2 commanding shout things, but we leave the radius on commanding shout. I think we might have over-hit Junker Queen just a little bit here. I don't think she's going to be garbage or anything, and I think she'll continue to see play because in contenders, a lot of them are running a Junker Queen meta. I think as people get better, as people understand it more, as people really get good at poke, that would have been more handleable, but it doesn't really matter. I think we'll see it continue to be played for a while, and if the patch lasts long enough, their series lasts long enough, people might start to move away from her, but I don't think she's in any way been dumpstered. So overall, this looks like a good patch. This looks better than some of the support tinkering that they've done in the last patch or 2, so I am actually happy to see it. Suggests good directions to me, and maybe the balance team has stuff in play again. In terms of direction the meta would be going for this, probably still poke. We see a Sojourn nerf here, but it's not huge. We see the Zen nerf, but Zen was fine even with that nerf, and he's still got his kick, which is better than 1, and he was just an absolute monster in 1. Doomfist is buffed, but not enough to be that scary, in my opinion. Junker Queen sees minor nerfs. I would still see this trending towards poke, but I would expect that we will hold on in the contenders level play and such and all that to a Junker Queen type of play for a while. Maybe that's a couple weeks, maybe that's a few days, as they continue to go, okay, well now how do we adapt? We've already put the practice into this, and she's not much worse. But let me know what you think. Do you like this patch? Do you think this patch is terrible? Do you go, oh yeah, this is the way to solve Sojourn's railgun? Do you say, either the wrong Symmetra is still going to feel terrible? Let me know what you're thinking in the comments down below. If you're enjoying the content, drop a like, consider subscribing for more thought-provoking Overwatch and Overwatch 2 content, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, Temporal out.